Hey everybody, welcome to Amy's Inspiration Station on the Altenew YouTube and Facebook. I am so excited to be here with you. Hey Nancy, I hope you're doing well. And if you share the live while we're live, you'll be entered to win a gift card to Altenew. So let us know where you're from, how you're doing, how's your summer going? And I'm really excited to be here today. I titled this one Use It or Lose It because I'm kind of on this quest to use up as much of my stuff as I can. This is another product that I bought. Oh gosh, I can't remember when. And I'm like, I haven't used this yet. I haven't used it. And it's from last year, and it's the Craft Your Life kit Meadow Breeze, which is really beautiful and really gorgeous. And this is the stamp sets. This is what we're going to be playing with today. And but that's what I'm doing, is kind of going through my craft room and thinking about what haven't I really laid my hands on and used? And so let me know in the comments, do you guys kind of, is there stuff in there that you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't bought yet. I haven't used it yet and I bought it, etc. So let me know in the comments, is that something that you do? But that's a little bit of my side quest, is going through all of my stuff. What can I use? So this is a little bit of use it or lose it. So get out that stuff that you haven't got, or even rediscover your favorites. That's what we're doing there. So we have Elle behind the badge today. So huge hello and shout out to Elle. I hope you are doing well. And it looks like we have a lot of friends. I see Alicia and Sue. Hey, Sue. I already said hi to Nancy. And again, if you share this live while we're live, you'll be entered to win a gift card, and Elle will let us know who the winner is later on. And I see Eleanor from Ohio. I hope you're doing well. And Trisha. And let's see, how long is that list? Saskia, it's a little bit too long. It's a little bit too long. And Cece, how are you doing? Good evening. I know, right, Alicia? It's we keep all these, in fact, they had these wonderful sales going on Altenew, and I'm like, I still have to use up a lot of my stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is using up stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the 2 cards that I created using this Craft Your Life project kit. It's really, really, really pretty. All right, so let's go ahead and go down to my workstation. And these are the 2 cards I came up with. And I know it's hey, let's see what we got. And again, I use this from a lot of stuff. Oh, of course, Sue, there's an order coming in. But then you're so excited when you get all that stuff. Hi, Noreen. How are you doing? And let's see. I have Marge. I know, right, Marge? I hope that this helps you to kind of get those things out and take a look at them. So let's take a look at the kit that I use, that I bought. And this is the Craft Your Life Project Kit Meadow Breeze. In fact, some of you may actually have this kit. I wonder who out there actually has Meadow Breeze. Maybe you also haven't gotten it. So opened it up. So what's great about all the Craft Your Life kits is that they all come with a stamp set. There is an embossing folder. There's a stencil, and then there's also a die. So you really have everything that you possibly need to just sit down and craft is, you're ready to go. So I love this die set because you have this little hello, and then you also have the big, huge image, right? So that's really, really nice. Hey, Shiomara, and I see Ian is here too. Hello. I'm so excited you guys are all here today. I love the fact that it comes with a stencil set too, because you can add color in if you wanted to watercolor. This would be a beautiful one to watercolor. But if you want to just do some simple coloring with the stencil, you can. And then, of course, the embossing folder. And what's neat about this one specifically is that the embossing folder is the exact same size as the stamp. And let me show you how I know that. And I can just take my embossing folder, open it up, and just lay it right on top, and it fits. I know you're like, I can't see that. But it lays right on top, which means that the stencil can actually be used on the embossing folder. And that's what I think is really neat about this one. Tracy, have you used this set before? It's really pretty. And then what's neat about the stamp set is that you have this kind of extra flourish. So if you wanted to use this as a background or even a main image, you could do that. I really see this as like stamped in white or embossed in white over navy. Oh, it would be gorgeous. That was one other idea that I had. But I'm going to be using a lot of these sentiments first. And I have to say, this is a font. I'm just going to zoom in here. This is a font that I love. It was reminding me of like late 50s, early 1960s in the United States, where this font would be like on a in magazines. And I'm like, I really love this. I love how small it was. And I'm like, this would be great for like really, really thin strips. And so that is what I kind of came up with for my first card. So let me show you what I got for these two cards and how they're a little bit different. So I have, these are all strips from my gradient cardstock set. And let me just show you how I store those. So I have these little bins and I keep my gradient cardstocks in here. And I use these a lot for when I do craft, the craft of flowers. So when you have to die cut all of these pieces, et cetera, et cetera. And what I do is that I actually just take my leftover pieces and I just throw them back in here. So that way I can, like this. I still have more on this. I just throw it back in. And so that way I have it. So what I did is I went through all of these today and I grabbed these pieces that have a little bit of extra. And I have all of the colors, of course, because I have to have all of the colors. And so you can see I have all of these pieces from these gradient cardstock sets. I can't throw this out. There's still so much on there. And so that's what I want to do. So this, again, we're talking about use it or lose it. So those items that you have that you're just like, I cannot throw out, or there's enough left on, I'm giving you some ideas today for how you can kind of stretch out your supplies. And I also had some really nice pieces of glitter cardstock. You can see I used a lot here. So I have all of these left. And so what I've already done off camera, because I know you guys wanted to see me just cut tiny strips for about 30 minutes. So what I did is I actually cut strips. And I'm going to lay them out. And you could do this if you wanted to do it in kind of a monotone way. You could see it if you wanted like all blues or all greens. I think those would be really pretty. Of course, I'm going for a rainbow. So I'm just kind of hitting up the strips that I already have. And I'm just laying them out in a rainbow order to see what the heck I have. This also gives me an idea for what I need to cut up. And I cut these in 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch increments. And that way it gives me a little bit of a difference in both when we're looking at this card, it breaks this up. So that way it's not exactly the same all the time. And I also broke it up using some glitter as well, some of the glitter cardstock. And so that way it kind of breaks that up. It just gives it a little bit more of interest. So again, I'm just laying these out and I have a whole bunch of cool colors that I can use. And of course, there's little pieces sometimes stuck out of them, which is fine. And we're going to, because sometimes especially when you're putting stuff on a diagonal, it's not always going to get there. All right, got a little bit of gold there. And here's some more pinks. So I'm just kind of throwing, these are just pieces that I had left over. And here's some green. Oh, there's my glitter green. I love this peridot. So pretty. And so I'm just laying these out. This also is giving me an idea. Do I need to cut some more? These are just some little bits that I had left over. And I think I need to cut some more. Oh, I definitely need this one. This is such a gorgeous color. I used this on a card last time. Oh, hi, Stacy Boo. And we got Becca And Miss Tamp is here. And of course, Elle is behind the badge. So huge shout out and a huge thank you to Elle for being here. And if you share this live, while we're live, you'll be entered to win a gift card to Altenew. And you can see when I cut that out, I have some sections that aren't like totally perfect. And that's okay because I don't need to use this entire strip. But all I'm doing is just taking what I can out of this. And I'm just going to do the same thing here. And I'm just going to do a little 1/4-inch strip. It's really easy when you have a die cutter that has 1/4-inch increments. All right, red looks good. That looks good. Yellow looks good. I'm actually going to do a smaller one out of yellow. All right. And again, we're talking about using up those supplies. So what do you have? Do you have stuff that's kind of hanging around that you wish you had used, or maybe you haven't yet? You haven't gotten around to it. So now's your time. Use that stuff. And of course, we love to see what you have made. And that, I think, is our favorite thing, right, Elle? We love seeing what you have made. So, of course, if you share that on social media and hashtag us at Altenew, it gives us a lot of delight to see what you guys have made. All right, so I'm looking at this, and I think I got a green. I have blue. I want to change out. I'm going to do a couple of blues. So I'm just going into my stash, and I'm just going to grab out a couple of pieces of blue. And this is from the Seashore Gradient cardstock set. Let me just grab that out so Elle can see that. And what's really neat about these gradient cardstock sets, and again, I keep these around because they're absolutely super fabulous to use in the mini blossom because they're already 3x6. And so especially if you're using those craft-a-flowers, you can just put them right on here and just kind of move them through. And yes, and it helps too, Alicia, if you lay those strips out, because then you can be like, what do I want to do with them? What colors do I need? What sizes am I looking for? And then I love how everything's already out and it is graduated in color because you can see it's also helpful for layering. Like, what do I want to have in here, etc. All right, I think I'm going to use these two. And all I'm going to do is just cut little 1/4-inch strips. So I just put this right at, so this is 3x6. So I'm just going to move it over to 2 3/4, and then that's my 1/4-inch strip. And of course you can grab, if you want to make a longer strip. So I was also doing some at a 1/2 inch just to break it up, and also doing some at a 1/4 inch, just so I could have some differences in size. And of course I can just take these and I'm just going to put them right back into my little basket. Okay. All right. So now we're going to get these onto a card base. So I'm going to start by grabbing a piece of A2 size cardstock. And I am not going to put glue on every single one of these strips because that is too much. And Miss Tamp, this is why I was kind of thinking about it, because I was going through these, my bins, like, what do I need to throw out? And I'm like, I got to do something with these because I'm never going to grab these, or there's just, you know how you like cut things out and there's always that little extra on the side. I'm like, that's a 1/4 inch. I can use that. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm using the 1/4 inch. So I'm grabbing some double-sided adhesive sheets. And these are not quite 8.5 by 11. So I always end up with these kind of like little extra bits of them. And so I'm actually not going to cut into a full sheet. I'm going to grab all these little extra bits and I'm going to put them onto my sheet. And since it's going to be the back and it's not a big, huge deal, I'm just grabbing my largest one just to kind of see. All right, so I'm going to do this. And I'm just going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to cut this. Also, you can grab a pencil, but I'm just kind of eyeballing this. And I'm going to eventually cut this panel down, so it really doesn't matter that if I have an edge or anything. So we are wondering, I want to know, do you have no double-sided adhesive sheets? Oh, it's coming out, Tracy. It's coming out. Again, this is about using up those pieces. So these are all like my little leftover pieces, right? And so that's what I'm going to use here. those little leftover pieces. And so I can just go ahead and put that down. And now I have this little extra piece up here. I am going to hold on to this because I need this. And now I'm just going to grab another little extra section. And again, I'm going to do the same thing, just line it up. And I'm just going to go ahead and Frankenstein this. And more extra pieces. So what's nice about having things like storage envelopes and Altenew, Elle, can we put those Altenew storage envelopes in? Those are fabulous as well. I use them a lot for like keeping my supplies together. Is you can just dump all of these into that storage envelope and then you're ready. So then you're ready to go. So I have them extra. They're all together and they're not like all over the place. So I can just keep those together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add this one on. And I am keeping this. So this is my release paper because that's going to help me when I put all these things down. This is always so tricky. All right. So happy to be crafting with you all today. I hope everybody's, looks like we're talking a lot about hot today. And it is hot where you live. Then you want to be in your nice, cool craft room. Crafting. All right, so I'm just going to take a second and I am going to put it up. And Amy, it is 2:45 Missouri time, so you are an hour behind me. All right. So I'm just taking a second and just kind of chopping this off nice and neat, just to give me a little bit of a workspace that's nice and neat. Okay. Yes, those pouches are fabulous. All right, there we go. Again, you can use them and keep all these pieces together. All right, so now that I have my pieces and I have my other little section here, I'm now going to figure out where do I want to start this. And I do like things on the diagonal. I don't know, it just gives it a little bit of interest to it. So I am going to pull off all of this release paper. So just keep that in mind that this stuff is sticky. You do have a little bit of play with it, but it is relatively sticky. So just be mindful here. Wow, you guys are in hot environments. I don't know if I feel happy to not be in that hot of an environment. All right. Again, I have that release paper just to make sure everything's kind of staying down. All right, so I'm going to start with my, actually I'm going to start with a nice big piece of this peach. And I'm going to put this in the middle because this is where I'm going to be putting my main sentiment. So I'm just going to add this and I'm just kind of thinking about do I want it to be really, really steep? I don't think I want it to be steep. So I'm going to make my angle right about here. And when I put my pieces on, I don't need to put it smack dab in the middle because that's going to allow me to save some of these pieces. So I'm just going to put this down. And that first piece becomes most important because it's allowing you to work off and get all those other pieces down. All right, so now I'm going to add, I know what I want is like green after this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this peridot down. And I'm just going to abut it and just stick it right down. And this is the nice thing about having this release paper with you is that you can make sure everything's sticking down. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep on going. So I know I'm going up yellow on this side. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little piece up here. And again, you have a little bit of play, but not too much. So once that goes down, it's down. And then we're just going to keep moving. All right, so I got to add a little red here. Now I have this little notch so you can see that I just moved this piece just to make sure that that notch I can cut off. All right. And I'm just going to keep going with my colors. And I am just making sure that whatever the heck I'm doing is going to fit because my pieces might be a little short or a little long. So I'm just going to dry fit them before I really put them in. go. And again, I'm alternating. I put like 3 thin ones together. So now I'm going to try to work in some thicker ones and put those down. And again, we're talking about using up your scraps. So what is it that you have that you can use? Kind of taking a look around in your craft room. Do you have some stuff? Maybe you haven't. Maybe you purchased, but you haven't quite opened or kind of got in. That's me with this set today, this Craft Your Life Meadow Breeze, which is so pretty. I just hadn't gotten to it yet. All right, so now I'm just going to keep on going up, and you'll notice I'm getting to a point where not a lot of that paper is being shown. All right, there we go. And I'm going to stop it right here because I'm going to bring those colors around. All right, so now I'm going to work on the bottom side. And so this is going to start with green. So I'm just looking for my greens. I thought I had a lighter green in here too. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. Just line this right up with that piece and put it right there. So, and thank you, Elle, for that reminder to share this live while we're live. And you will be entered to win a gift card to Altenew and Elle, who is behind the badge today. So huge shout out, hugs, and love to Elle for putting some fabulous links in and keeping us up to date with what the heck is going on. So my green here, I have too much of a notch. So I'm just going to skip this because I think my green is just too small for this size that I need. Yeah, I'm going to skip that dark green then. All right, let's see how this goes. All right, so I'm going to move over to blue. And again, these are all pieces that I would have thrown away anyway, right? I would have thrown away anyway. All right. And that's what today's show is about, having some inspiration for stuff, you know, use it or let it go, move it on. Getting to that age where it's about simplicity. Everything is about simplicity. There we go. And I want to put in this darker blue here. Now, as I'm doing this, I want to add those sentiments in. And those sentiments, what's nice about them, because they're really narrow, they're not very tall, is that they can work with these 1/4 inch strips, or you can put them on the 1/2 inch. And you can really do either way. All right, I'm going to add in some black glitter right here. All right, I'm going to do the purple first. And I'm only doing this because my black piece has that little notch cut out of it. So I needed a steeper angle so we wouldn't see it. There we go. And that's going to go right there. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm at a point where I'm going to start to wrap this around. So I'm just going to grab my cutter and just cut these off. You could die cut out shapes. Yes. So Sue, that's actually one of the ideas, is that all I'm doing is making a background, right? So what's neat about this is I could stamp on this, which I will be doing. I could actually run this under the embossing folder, which I think would be really cool. And I could, you know, just grab an outline and just do like a black outline of it. I could take those. What's neat about the Meadow Breeze, like we had said, is that like little extra filigree part. I could stamp over on top of this to see the little filigree piece. So there's a lot that you can do with this. And it's neat that you're using up all these extra pieces. Like I said, I was going to throw them out anyway. So I'm just kind of taking this and giving it another life. All right. I'm eventually going to cut this panel down a little bit. I'm just not ready for that yet. Yes, the embossing folder, right? So that would be really cool, is to take this and emboss over the whole thing. And you could see that. I think that would be really neat. I may be tempted to do that with this panel, Sue, instead of going through and like recreating my card over on the side. I'm thinking about it. All right, so I'm going to use some pink, but I want a thin pink. Here we go. There we go. So now I'm just adding my little pieces up here. In fact, I want to add this gold. I'm going to put this gold in over here. And I love that little bit of shine that the that having that glitter cardstock makes. I think it's really neat to do that. I'm just going to put this really, really light color in. I'm not going to care about that corner because I'm going to cut that corner off. And now I'm going to come up here and now I'm going to add some purple in. And that way we can have that wraparound rainbow, which I think is cool. All right. And I think I'm going to cut, now I'll put this in just in case right now. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to cut the rest of this off. And I have these strips. And again, I'm okay if I let them go now because I've used up most of it. And like I said, these are pieces I was going to throw out anyway. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys, would you like me to, no. So that's our piece, which is really neat. Yeah. So this is so cool because you have this panel that you can do. So let's go ahead and emboss on this because I think that would be cool. I'm going to show you what I did with my first card. So we're going a little off the rails, but that's okay. Totally fine. That's what we're doing here. It's live. So what I ended up doing with this card is you can see I stamped and embossed on this with rose gold. And that's my main sentiment. And then I used a block to stamp in embossing ink all of these little sub-sentiments. And I wrap those sub-sentiments around so they're working around. So it says, my sweet friend, missing you, my friend, sending love and hugs. I've been thinking about you, hope all is well. And I made sure when I stamped this that I took and that the image, that the sentiment fit perfectly. And then I stamped after that. So I kind of thought about it. So this was thinking about you, all is well. So you can see I kind of have it working down in the same direction. And then I just stamped around it as we go along. So yes, and you are so right, Tracy. You can die cut words from this. You can do a bunch of stuff with it. But let's go ahead and emboss on it. So this is such a cool embossing folder. And I want this to be raised. So I'm going to make sure that this goes up in the raised side. And I'm also going to make sure that this has as much of the piece as possible. Now I am going portrait with this, even though this is kind of a sideways, because I think if I went sideways, it would look, I don't know. I don't love that. I think I like this in portrait more. So I'm going to keep this in portrait. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that this is nice and in there. And then I'm going to grab my embossing machine and let's see what it looks like. I'm just going to take a moment to make sure that that's nice, nicely in there. All right, here we go. I'm going to try, Nancy. I was just thinking about that as I was about to do this. And I'm like, this might be a little thick, but let's try it. If not, again, like I said, it was going to be thrown out. So I feel like I experiment so you guys don't have to, right? That's when it goes. You'd be like, oh, this is going to work. Okay, here we go. May not make it through my machine. Yep, sorry guys, not going to happen. All right, well, we tried. It did look cool though. It did look cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp on this instead. Keeping this over here because I'm going to need this machine in just a second. But we're going to go ahead and run it through die cut machine before folder to help it here. I don't know, Vicki, you think so? If I did it that way? I don't know. Oh, you mean just, no, it's adhered on there. Because what I do is I grab the release paper, and then as I was going along, I was making sure that this was all in there. We're adhered. We're definitely all adhered. And that's what I just used that release paper for. And I can see a little bit of the outline was starting to go through there. Rotate the folder, fold and inwards. All right, I'm going to try again. I reserve the right to not do this, but I'm going to try again for you guys. Rotate the folder, fold in. All right, trusting you, Alyssa. Here we go. Oh no. Try it one more time. Oh, you got it. Ooh, that was rough. Hey, thanks guys for the help and the support on that one. Annette, that is a great idea to use the shims, and I just didn't have time to figure out what those would be. All right, so here we go. Just want to show this to you. You can see this beautiful embossing. So really, really pretty on there. I'm really tempted to put some black ink on this, just on the raised edges. You guys okay if we try something? Where's my black? Actually, I'm going to use the brown. So I'm going to grab a little espresso ink. I'm just really curious about this because it's hard to see this detail. So this may end up being kind of crazy pants, but I'm just using espresso ink. I didn't want to use black because black can be so severe. But I'm just using a little bit of espresso. All right. Just wanted to see what that looks like. Yeah, sand the raised image. That's really good. So there we go. So I'm going to go in a little bit more, and I know I mushed up some pieces up there, but it's looking really cool where you have this like really, really delicate look to it. I wanted to add in also my sentiment, and I think I want to stamp this right on top of it. Just kind of looking. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm going to grab, I'm just going to quickly emboss this on here. And I want to do it in like a silver. I had this in gold at first, but I think I want to add this in silver. All right, so now I'm going to grab my embossing. Sand the raised image. Sue, I don't think I have a sander. I have a little bit of one. Yes, absolutely. And again, you guys, I love your ideas. You know, it's always important. We have such a collective knowledge out there to share that. And I really appreciate that we are helping each other kind of experiment and try some new things. All right, I'm going to try this. And then I'm going to put it out there. I have an idea too what I want to do with this, just to make that go up a little bit. All right, so I wanted to do silver just because I used that dark color on it. I think the silver might look cool. We can also add in sub-sentiments. So we can still add some of those sub-sentiments in because there's some space to do that. So now I'm going to do that. Oh, thank you so much for sharing this, Sue. And you too can be like Sue and be entered to win a gift card. We have Elle behind the badge today. And she is going to tell us who that winner is at the end. Ooh, I love that. You know, I had another idea too, is that if I had run this through and done some embossing powder on that, Sandpaper from the garage. Yes, I have to grab those. So this is kind of a neat little cool look. And so what we did, and again, today's focus is using what you have. So kind of grabbing the stuff that you have in your craft room and using it in a way that, you know, you're about to throw it out anyway. So why not try it? So what I had done is I grabbed these pieces of cardstock, and these are from the gradient cardstock sets, which are 3x6. And I've used a lot of them for various and sundry things. And I'm just cutting off edges of these strips. And so I took this and I ran it through my embossing folder for this. Hey, Kathy. And so we can try that. I'm going to try. Yeah, I don't have a sander. I'm going to have to go ahead and see that, Sue. But this was my original idea of having those nice strips and then adding in these little tiny sentiment strips. And so it just gives you this nice bright color. And like I said, I was going to throw this out anyway. I was going to throw out all these pieces. So I'm like, hey, before I do that, let me try this. So this becomes a background that you can use for a lot of different things. And I think that that's kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to move over to another idea that I had for you guys, also using our embossing folder. And this one uses, so this is our Craft Your Life Project Kit Meadow Breeze. And this one uses the embossing folder and the stencils. But what we're going to do is we're going to use it not on the raised image, but on the debossed image. And you can actually use the same stencils. All you got to do is flip the stencils over. And so that's really neat, the fact that you can stretch your stencils that way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that embossing folder out again. Here it is. And so this embossing folder, because it's the same size image as our main stamp, it means that the stencil works with this, which is awesome. So we can use the same stencil. And so this stencil is a 5 stencils. It's just a simple coloring stencil. It has one layer. It's not too much. But what we can do is where the forward stencil, and the way I know it's a forward stencil is I can see the Altenew logo and I can see that number 3. So this is what I would use if I was stenciling the embossed image, the image that comes up, the raised image, or if I was stenciling the stamp. And this case, I'm actually going to stencil the debossed image. So all I have to do is take this stencil and flip it. And that's what I'm going to do today. All right, so let me go ahead and run a piece of cardstock through my machine. I know this one's going to work though. And I wanted to, because again, this image is kind of to the side. So it's very much a landscape image because it kind of goes in this direction. I'm going to make this a landscape card. And I always like to do that when I have a portrait card. I like to go next and then make a landscape card. So I'm going to take this, and I'm okay understanding that this is going to cut off some of my image. And I'm okay with that. So I'm going to, I want to make sure I get as much of this little flower up here as possible. And I like this side. That's going to help me as well. And I'm okay to cut off that little bottom flower, but I think I like that one at the top. So I'm just making sure I have exactly where I want this to end up. That's looking good and straight. All right, now I'm going to bring my machine back. In fact, I'm going to do this off camera and I'll bring it back in for you. And Amy, I do too. I love their embossing folders. I love the fact that you can get just all these amazing looks. And the 3D embossing folders, they give you such an amazing image. And so this is my image coming up. It's beautiful. Look, it's gorgeous. And this is something even, you know, you can smack a sentiment on it and send it off. It's just gorgeous. So this is the emboss side. So you can see this is the raised side, but I'm going to use the debossed side. And so this is now the reverse of the image. And so that's what we're going to be stenciling with. All right, so here's my thing. I'm going to grab my sticky mat. And I have an extra sticky mat that I just use for stenciling. And it is a low-tack one. And so sometimes what happens is it will get like not, you know, will get a little unstickied. And so all I got to do is just use some cleaner, and Altenew has the best stamp cleaner. If you haven't purchased, it's always out because it's so good. But it's one of those things. It's just absolutely fabulous. All right. Okay. Hey, everybody, let me know how you're doing out there. And if you are in love with Altenew's embossing folders, have you tried this before? Have you stenciled on the debossed image with backward stencils? I'd love to know. All right, so this way, this just will stick right here. And again, this is the low tack sticky mat, so it's not the one that's like the really super sticky one. Now, the directions for how to use the stencil are inside of the stamp kit. And so all I'm going to do is just open this up. And I love these because it also comes with some, possibilities of things that you could do. And so I'm just going to follow along. And I have out some inks. And so I want to keep, I love the fact that in the inspiration, they had like three different flower colors. So I'm going to do that too. And I want a pink flower. And I also want, so that's these two. These are from the rose petal set. And I also wanted a yellow flower. So I have these from the summer afternoon set. And I also wanted a purple flower. And this is, oh, that's so cool, Carrie. Oh, and I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're here, Jana. This is the Sugar Plum set, and this is such a pretty muted purple, and I thought it went well with all of these. So I thought those would be really good. Thanks, Debbie. And Debbie, if you end up trying these ideas, we'd love to see what you make. So please share your designs using the hashtag Altenew so we can see what you have made. All right, so I'm going to start with stencil 1. And stencil 1 has this extra little piece up here. Oh, that's 3. And that's 2. And this is 1. All right. So here's stencil 1. This is stencil 1. And so it has this extra little flower up in the corner. And that flower is, I think this one down here. So what I'm going to do is, so here's my stencil. And I'm going to flip it. And now when I take this, I can line it up. And the way I kind of figured this out was I actually tried it the right way on the stamp, on the packaging. And then I was able to kind of figure out where it fit in. And what's really neat about using this is I can just take this and it's just going to stick on my sticky mat. And then I don't have to worry about it. So it's right there. And Michelle, you got your first Altenew order today. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Altenew has some fabulous sentiments. And if you take a look at this, if this kit, this Meadow Breeze kit, it's really, really beautiful. It has some really, really cute sentiments. So I have my mini blending brushes, and I'm actually going to start with the purple. And I'm going to do these taller flowers in purple. So I'm going to grab Amethyst out of the Sugar Plum set. And I'm just going to lay down a base layer. Now, what's neat about having kind of this extra space is I can just tap off my brush, and I'm just going to come in off of the stencil with a flicking motion. And this is just going to give me a little bit of variation as I do this. So this is going to mean that it's a little bit darker on the edges of my petals and a little bit lighter towards the middle. Oh, Kathy, that's exciting. I hope you try this. Again, you're going to end up with a lot of extras as you look at, use up paper, use up a lot of things. And so this is what we're talking about today is how do I use up those extras? What's neat about these mini blending brushes is I can kind of like just use them from the edge and get that graduation. So you can see I'm just kind of building up color from the edge, and I'm putting that on. Yeah, I agree, Diane. It really would be. And it's so pretty. You could even use this. I have a technique that I do sometimes where I add embossing ink to the image or to the folder, and then when I put it out, I use embossing powder, gold embossing powder, and it really, really comes out pretty. All right, so I'm going to do this one in purple as well. So I'm going to stay with my amethyst out of the Sugar Plum set. And I think I need to re-ink this. And Teresa's, hi Teresa, how are you doing? Oh, and B&D Crafts and More, thank you so much for sharing this live. And you too could be entered to win a $15 gift card to Altenew by sharing this live over live. We got about 15 more minutes, so I'm going to be stenciling quickly. All right, I'm going to do these two flowers in yellow. And so I'm going to grab, these are from Summer Afternoon, and I'm going to grab this Warm Sunshine. And this is relatively bright, and I wanted that kind of juxtaposition between bright and the subdued purple. Instead of everything being bright and everything trying to be the center of attention, I thought this would work a little bit better. All right, and again, I'm just kind of trying to get right into that edge. And I'm not trying to make it all one color. I want to get that right in the edge. Oh yeah, Carrie, it comes out really pretty. You have to play around with it a little bit, but it also would be pretty on some of these stencils. Sometimes on my last layer of stencil, I use some embossing powder, just to get it to be gold or peach. The golden peach embossing powder from Altenew is just really, really pretty. So I'm just taking what's ever left on here just because that's a big wide open section. All right, so now I'm going to take these off. I got to move and get this stencil. So again, I'm using these stencils backwards. And this, I believe, is this flower right here. And again, I know where I'm going because I have next to me my guide. So, oh yes, Teresa. Yes, I know. Why do I have numbers on my inks? So Carrie, the numbers on my inks correspond to the shade gradients. And so what's great about Altenew inks is they come in families. And so the families will have a light, a not so light, like a little bit darker, and then a medium, and then a dark. And so you can see I'm using number 2. So I know that there's a color lighter than this that I can use, but this is number 2 out of 4. And so I do this because I'm not going to remember all of the names. So I just keep the names. And then the name here, you see it says Warm Sunshine, and then it says Summer Afternoon. And that's because this is the actual color name, and then this is the family name. And so I put both of those on there. And then I can always correspond to those. And I have an ink swatch, and my ink swatches are based on color family. So that's how I know where I'm going to there. All right, so there we go. And you can see it goes nice in there. Really, really pretty. I know, right? The jasmine one is beautiful. Yes, Cece, this is cool. I was just, I know it's not a new thing, but I was like, hey, this is kind of a neat thing to do with it. So I was just kind of messing around with this other idea. All right. Okay, so that's stencil 1. So now I'm going to hit up stencil 2. And again, so here's my front side. There's my number 2. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to flip it. So now I'm on the back side. And so this is going to do these other pieces. And again, I'm using this low tack sticky mat so I can get this down for that one. And there's tons of press plates. And I don't know, Amy, if you've tried if you've tried hot foiling with the press plates. It's so cool. Really, really neat. All right. This was pink. I actually wanted that to be purple, but that's okay. It works out fine. So I'm going to come in with this puffy heart. So that's what I'm using right now. And again, I'm just flicking this on, and that's going to get me a little bit of graduation of color. So it's not all the same. And when you have these really, really super tight spaces, those detail blending brushes. But I love the minis because I feel like I can do a lot with them. But they're really, really great to use. All right, so I'm going to switch this up. So I'm going to do this one purple. So I'm going to go back to my amethyst. Oh, thank you so much, Alyssa. Yeah, that's what I had a hard time coming up with the name, but that's absolutely it. It's kind of coming up with some different ideas. Thank you. I appreciate that. And this card is just, it's so cool. And I wanted to add all the gold pieces. And again, I use a lot of the brushed metallic gold cardstock. And I'm like, I'm just going to use some of that today on this. That's what I'm going to do there too. For this one, I'm actually going to grab my caramel toffee. And I'm going to use a little bit of orange. I'm just going to come right up at the base and just get this to be dark. Just to give it a little bit of a different juxtaposition from the yellow of the other flower. Oh my gosh, Sue, you cannot have too many blending brushes. And if you guys are asking me like what I'm keeping them in, when you get your artist markers, the set of 12 artist markers, this is the container that's inside of there. And this is fabulous to use on your desk just to keep track of your brushes so they're not like rolling off and going everywhere. So that's what I use them for. All right, so this one is stencil 3. So again, I'm going to do the same thing and I'm just going to flip it. And I'm just going to line this up. And this is the kind of the little bit more of a detail layer to this. So this way I can keep in the same family. So I don't have to kind of think about it. I can just go ahead and craft. And that's what I like about Altenew is they've just really let you, you don't have to think. You can just craft. You can just play. You're not sitting there kind of futzing around with, oh, what color do I use next? What should I do? None of that, because the color families are there. The colors are all coordinated. Even with the Craft Your Life kits, which I love about them, is it's just easy because all the pieces are just there for you. Everything is there. Everything is ready to go and everything is ready to use. All right, so I'm going to grab this caramel toffee. I have a little paper bag that I'm going to use as well. And I'm just putting this right at the ends. So I'm going to keep those tops of the leaves relatively light. And I'm just putting that there. And since I already used caramel toffee on here, I'm going to go with color number 4 in the series. So that in this one is Paper Bag and Summer Afternoon. Right? Oh my gosh, Teresa. Thank God for Altenew. It's so helpful to just have some stuff done. So I can just go in and play and I don't have to sit there and grab everything. And that was one of the reasons why I organized my inks this way and I put the numbers on so I don't have to think about it. Oh, all right. This is Paper Bag that I still have on here. So I'm just going to grab whatever ink is left on here and just shove it on there. All right. And for this one, I'm not going to go with plum because plum is really dark. It's almost like a black. So I'm going to go with the grape agate. And you can always try, put it down. And then if you're like, it's just not dark enough, you can always go over it again with the same color. Or you can move up and step up into the other colors. So you really can do both there. All right, and then I got a little purple flower down here. Okay, so now we got this, and then this is our little extra, and then after this, our flowers are almost done. So this is just this little flower. And I'm just coming in with some purple wine. How do I add my name? Oh, Michelle, you have to email Bridget. And she holds a class on Saturdays. That's a lot of fun. And that's every Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern. And it's a great group. And you also can go to the events page on the Altenew website. And there's a lot of educators that host workshops, including myself. And you can go there and you can check out all of those events. And that's really great place to go to. All right, 4. Here is 4. And so what I'm going to do is flip this over and I'm going to go ahead and put this down. So now we're starting to do a little bit of greenery. And this one, just want to make sure it's all in there. There we go. So for this, so I'm all done with my flowers. I'm actually going to start to pull in greens. And so this set, which is called Forest Trail, it has these really beautiful greens in it, and it moves from this aloe all the way up to this oak. And I have to say, in terms of using the mini blending brushes, this is where I probably have the most different brushes for greens, because you have like these mossy greens, and then you can also have like yellowy greens and light greens and blue greens. And so this is the one where I definitely have more brushes. And I don't have a brush for every color because I honestly don't have the space for that. But as you saw, I was just using the same brushes for these. So, okay, I'm done with the oak moss. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to move over to the matcha tea. So I'm going to use the same green. Yeah, absolutely, Debbie. It's something, if you go on the Altenew website, and you go under, I think it's freebies, there is a fabulous link to the color swatches. So that way you can see all the families, all the different inks, and they even provide you a blank one that you can use and actually print out. And that I have that, and I swatch, I swatch on that. And then I have a little key ring, and then I hold everything next to me there. All right, so now I have like little flower centers. So I'm going to use this color called Sunray, which is the first one in Golden Sunset. So this is like a yellowy orange. And I'm just going to come in and just put all those little centers in. Okay. All right, so now we're on to our last stencil. And Elle's like, wrap it up, baby. But I'm getting there, I promise. I just want to show you guys the last little trick. So this is stencil 5. And again, I'm flipping them all backwards. And this is just going to give you a little bit of extra dimension. So I'm just coming in with what I have left from doing that oak moss. And that's partially because I'm trying to go super fast right now. And I'm going to keep those centers the way they are for right now. Okay, so here's our image. It's all stenciled. And so now we have this. It looks great. It's so pretty. But I'm going to kind of step this up just a little bit. And I'm going to grab a color. And I grabbed Desert Night. And I have to tell you, I would love to know your opinion. I think, honestly, Desert Night is the most gorgeous blue that exists. So I think it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous blue. It's fabulous. I'm going to do this on a piece of scrap paper and not on my desk because Desert Night gets everywhere. And all I'm doing is I'm just going to come in and really, really, really softly. I'm going to do my best to not press down on this. And I'm going to go up. Oh my gosh, Nancy, I completely agree that that is the best color. All right, so I'm kind of doing a little bit of extra in the corner here because this is a lot of white. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right, like brushing right across here. Just going to, nervous guys, if you can't tell. So all I'm doing is just trying to get this a little bit in there. This also, I feel like, gives it a little bit of a look like it's underwater. I thought that was really cool too. And I am now going to, like, I know right now, Cece, I'm like, but I'm going to grab my Desert Night artist marker, and I can just use this other tip, because again, these color families are all the same. And I know these are two different media because I have a dye ink and I'm now using technically an alcohol ink just in marker form, but I can come in and just add all of this all the way along. And what's fabulous is now my image really starts to pop out and you can really see this beautiful debossed image. And Kathy, if you're like, I can't do it, just go with the marker and just come in, and it's really, really super fast. And Elle, if you're okay that we're over by a couple minutes, that's all right. And I'm going to come in, and it's so super fast. And so I can go around this whole entire card, and I'm going to show my example in just a second. And that's going to really cause this to really pop up. And so let me show you what I did to finish this off. Yeah, absolutely. And so you can see I have it in the ink pad. I have it in here. I was like, oh, I could have got it because there's also a water brush marker of this. And so that way you can use it here. So this is how I ended up finishing it off. And all I did was I cut this panel down to 3 3/4 by 5. And then I just grabbed a piece of gold brush cardstock. And again, the same thing, I just have it in a little pouch. And I just keep all my little pieces in here. And this is the gold metallic cardstock. And I just took the sentiment. So this I stamped in obsidian. And that person was talking about how fabulous obsidian is. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I stamped this on the gold cardstock, but then I used clear embossing powder to make sure, because I would smear that. And then I have this little sub-sentiment. Again, it's on the gold cardstock. And if you don't have this set, and I hope this is still, sometimes it's sold out, but this is called featured sentiments. These just are like little pieces that cut out. And so I just cut out the sentiment, the sub-sentiment with that, but that's my 2 cards. So that way, and then you have that nice blue in the back, and it really, really great. Does the water brush marker come out as dark? Yes, it does, Diane. It really is dark. And those water brush color markers are fabulous because they are so heavily pigmented. And obviously you'd have a lot of, you can make it as dark as light as you want because you can mess around with the white, with the water. And so that's what I love about with that blue background is it just really starts to pop off. So these are my 2 cards. Grab my other one. And so kind of messing around. So use up what you have. Grab what you have. Kind of try to use your stuff a little bit differently and think about what you can do with it. And, you know, and if you don't end up using it, let it go, move it on to where it can go for somebody else for that. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here today. And thank you to Elle, and thank you. So happy that you were here. And I hope that you guys have a fabulous day of crafting ahead of you, and that you, thank you so much for taking the time to invest in yourself and to allow Altenew to craft your life. All right. Bye, everybody. I'll see you later.